The secret that launched the Vietnam War. On the night of August 4th, 1964, the United States government announced that American warships had come under attack in the Gulf of Tonkin. According to official statements, North Vietnamese forces had launched a second, unprovoked assault against U.S. naval vessels operating in international waters. Within days, Congress would authorize the president to use military force without a formal declaration of war. The Vietnam War, in its full and devastating form, had begun. But the attack that justified this escalation never actually occurred. What followed was not a battlefield error discovered too late, but a carefully managed narrative, one that concealed uncertainty, ignored conflicting intelligence, and transformed doubt into certainty for the American public. The truth would remain hidden for years, buried in classified reports, intercepted communications, and internal conversations that contradicted what the nation was told. By 1964, the United States was already deeply involved in Vietnam, though the extent of that involvement was not widely known. American forces were engaged in covert operations along the North Vietnamese coast, working alongside South Vietnamese units in missions designed to provoke pressure without triggering open war. These activities were conducted under a classified program known as Oplan 34A. While officially denied, these raids targeted radar installations, coastal facilities, and supply routes, all while U.S. naval vessels gathered intelligence nearby. One such ship was the USS Maddox, a destroyer operating in the Gulf of Tonkin. Publicly, it was described as conducting a routine patrol. In reality, it was participating in intelligence-gathering missions closely linked to ongoing covert attacks against North Vietnam. This distinction mattered, but it was never communicated to the public. On August 2nd, the Maddox encountered 3 North Vietnamese torpedo boats. This incident did occur. However, later declassified documents revealed that the Maddox had been operating near contested waters, and that North Vietnamese forces likely believed they were responding to earlier coastal attacks. During the encounter, the Maddox fired warning shots, aircraft were launched from a nearby carrier, and the torpedo boats eventually withdrew. There were no American casualties, and damage was minimal. Privately, U.S. officials acknowledged that the encounter could not be accurately described as unprovoked. Publicly, it was framed as an act of aggression. 2 nights later, on August 4th, radar and sonar operators aboard U.S. ships reported signs of another attack. Blips appeared on radar screens. Sonar detected sounds interpreted as incoming torpedoes. American ships fired into the darkness for hours, maneuvering violently in poor weather conditions. Reports were rushed up the chain of command. Almost immediately, doubts emerged. Officers on the scene questioned whether any enemy vessels were present at all. Weather conditions were severe, with heavy seas and electrical interference. Sonar operators later acknowledged that wave noise and propeller turbulence could easily have been misinterpreted. No visual confirmation of enemy boats was ever made. No wreckage was found. No torpedoes were recovered. Rear Admiral James Stockdale, who was flying overhead during the alleged attack, later stated unequivocally that there were no enemy vessels in the area. His testimony was supported by later analyses of naval logs and communications. Despite these doubts, the uncertainty was filtered out as reports moved upward. By the time the information reached Washington, hesitation had been transformed into certainty. President Lyndon B. Johnson addressed the nation, stating that U.S. forces had been attacked in international waters. Retaliatory strikes were ordered against North Vietnam. On August 7th, Congress passed the Gulf of Tonkin resolution. Only 2 senators voted against it. The resolution granted the president sweeping authority to use military force in Southeast Asia without a declaration of war. It was presented as a defensive measure, based largely on the events of August 4th. Privately, President Johnson expressed misgivings. In recorded phone conversations later released, He questioned the reliability of the reports and suggested that American forces may have been firing at false targets. These doubts, however, never reached Congress or the public. Over the following years, the United States dramatically escalated its involvement in Vietnam. Hundreds of thousands of troops were deployed. Bombing campaigns expanded across Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. By the time the war ended, more than 58,000 American service members were dead, along with an estimated 2 to 3 million Vietnamese civilians and soldiers. Entire regions were destabilized, and trust in government institutions suffered lasting damage. The truth behind the Gulf of Tonkin remained classified until 1971, when leaked documents known as the Pentagon Papers revealed what officials had known all along. The documents showed that the second attack was highly doubtful, that intelligence had been selectively presented, and that the incident was used to justify decisions that were already under consideration. No official was prosecuted, no formal apology was issued, but the historical record was finally clear. The Gulf of Tonkin was not simply a misunderstanding. It was a moment when uncertainty was suppressed, ambiguity was ignored, and a single narrative was elevated above conflicting evidence. It stands as a case study in how secrecy, urgency, and political calculation can combine to alter the course of history. Wars do not always begin with invasions. Sometimes they begin with withheld doubts. The documents remain, the recordings still exist, and the cost of that silence is written across decades of history.